Hello, and welcome to episode 89 of the Inventive Marketing Club. We're here every week to help you build a better marketing strategy. On this week's club, it's an open club. So we have a guest, Nancy, who's joined us, and she is a business owner, and she's going to share some of her marketing challenges. And we're basically going to together discuss the strategies she's using, maybe hopefully offer some advice to help her enhance her online presence and marketing in general. So hopefully this will be an ideal session for any business really to pick up on what Nancy's doing and take away some useful tips and strategies. So welcome, Nancy. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello.
Let's start with just finding out a little bit more about your business.
So the business that we started 2 years ago is called Compania Collections, and it is a business that aims to sell decorative arts at all levels, and it's brought together two business partners. My background is in art conservation and the heritage sector, and my business partner has been in the antique and auction business for the last 30 years or so. That's the team there. And we decided that we really wanted to develop a retail aspect to the business, and particularly in an area in Oxfordshire where we felt that there was a good market and had potential. In the run-up to developing the website and the business, we had two pop-ups that were very successful, which gave us a sort of a validation that the product as well as the price was right.
So these were pop-up events where you met people in person. Were they part of a bigger whole, or is it something that you organised yourself?
There's a pop-up shop in Woodstock, which gets a lot of footfall and tourists, and they just use that pop-up shop to allow new businesses, particularly crafts, to try out. It's a marketing for them, so you can rent it by a long weekend or a week. So we did that in the break in COVID and another time, and it was quite successful.
Now, the website we're looking at here, this is the second iteration. So when we originally met, we built an e-commerce website, full e-commerce, WordPress, WooCommerce. You had all of your products on there. You spent a long time going through creating a spreadsheet, which we imported, got everything on there. The new website is quite different to that. It shows still a lot of potential products that you have, but it's not available to buy online. Can you talk me through why you wanted to change and pull away from e-commerce and move to something that showed off the sort of products that you have available or that you're able to get, but people can't buy them online?
The short answer is that at the level that we're operating, people are not going to buy online. And the second iteration of the website certainly showed that the inquiries that we get and the feedback, for example, inquiries are very much about more condition reports, more requests for more details, photographic details. It's not like Amazon books where you just know what you're going to buy and you know what the product is. This is subject to much more nuance and subtlety.
Yeah, these are antiques and vintage, used, secondhand. So
and art, I mean, kind of high-end art. So I would say that the market that is going to respond most favorably to the website knows what they're looking at. So they will do a search, and the sales that we've had through the website, somebody is searching for a particular kind of item, they find it and they called and we still had it and it was sold. So I would say it's a more specialized market, and I would think that the buying one, I felt that the buying online kind of cheapened the whole kind of enterprise. It wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, because actually that's the one-off. They're not going to be able to get it again. So
that's right.
So in this way, you can show the examples of products and their price, but that particular product may not be available, but you could get something similar to it. But you're quite right. If people buy it online, they expect to be able to, or if the option is there, they expect that facility.
Mm-hmm.
But as you say, your typical customer isn't going to do that. They'll want a bit more conversation. They'll want to get to know you a little bit. And actually, they might want to buy more.
Mm-hmm.
That actually what you've got here is a shop window that to draw them in and pique their interest.
Yes. And that's exactly what's happened. Although I find it interesting that two people have made the effort to come and look and say, this is exactly what I want. But then they haven't paid, or, I mean, to the extent that we took something offline, they didn't pay the bill, or, you know, they decided they're still thinking about it. So
right.
It's less, the transactions are less straightforward than I could have imagined.
So what's your particular challenge? Obviously, you've had some time in the market now. You've worked with you're working with some like interior designers and people who will come to you and buy multiple products. It's not just buying for them, they're buying for their customers. So you've experienced different types of customers, you've been out in the market, you've tried some different things. In fact, should we talk about some of the things you've tried? So obviously you've had a website, that's the original thing that we're working on, and that's been revised. You've been doing some work on Instagram. Should we have a quick look at your Instagram posts here? Do you want to talk through some of the work you've been doing on here? What's working, what's not?
I think that the overarching challenge for both the website and Instagram is getting proper images. I mean, you know, these are acceptable, but you know, they're down to me, and we haven't been able to secure a good photographer at an affordable price that can help, that I can work with to consolidate the brand through the imagery, and the imaging is the most important thing for this business.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'd imagine that's what's going to draw people in, by seeing the quality of it. Yeah. So why has that been a challenge for you, getting the photography?
So the challenge has been, I'm sure that other people have experienced working with creative people and other sort of people working for themselves, which is making a commitment to turn up and to work, and there's no shows, not responding to initial acceptance, not really being able to deliver in a timely fashion. We haven't had a huge space to be able to get the same ratio, the same stance, and that's what we're working towards next. A consistent imaging style. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think once you found that person you can work with and they're able to come in regularly. And I see what you mean about consistency, because some of your photography comes across really well. I don't know if you've taken all of these, but like you know, this one with the shadows, you know, it's some style to it, but it may depend on where the product is. Can you get enough light to it? Some of the ones where you can see natural light pouring in look really good because they've got the lighting. Some of the ones in a darker area are really, really tricky. I must add this for context as well. While you've been setting this business up, you've also been developing the property that you've been to be both home and workplace. So you've had a huge amount of work on developing both of these at the same time. Which in retrospect, I probably wouldn't have done in the same way. And add into that a dose of COVID and
that's true.
And this year, the extreme cold of trying to do photography in an unheated area.
Yeah, so you've had all the challenges thrown at you. So let's look at some other marketing you've been doing, some more traditional marketing, I guess you would say, but I'd say actually something that's coming back round again in magazines. So you were telling us just before we started recording about Banbury magazine.
Yeah, it has proved to be hugely successful, which is we opened a shop in addition to working on the house, in addition to working on the website. And Banbury Guardian serves the surrounding area, and I approached them with a potential feature, focused not so much on the business, I mean, obviously, but how this business was bringing a better quality shop to the local shopping experience, and how our aim is to also reach out to other businesses, coffee shops and things. I've talked to a few people about having group events, collaborating in different ways. We'll just see how that unfolds. And they picked it up straight away. And as a result, I would say 99% of the people that have come to the shop and responded have seen this traditional form of marketing. And I want to do more of it. Reached out to various editors in different magazines and haven't had a response yet, but you know, we just have to keep plugging away. So the challenge is to get people to come into Banbury. Banbury is not a destination yet, but we're within this local community where we all agree that we would like to create some kind of art destination, something that will make people pause and stop and look and hopefully buy, whether it's coffee or sandwiches or art or whatever. So that we feel that as a group, there's a real opportunity there. But a lot of our customers are not online and they're not going to be on Instagram. So it's just a marketing technique that works for a certain demographic. And it works really well.
So there's a couple of things that I want to pick up on there too. One, this sort of partnership with local businesses, which I think is a great idea. And the other is your audience, sort of understanding what your audience are doing. So let's look at the partnership one first. And this is something I often talk to a lot of businesses about, is try and work with partners. And you know, you're doing that naturally. It's one of the things I think you do well, Nancy, in terms of building relationships with people and having those conversations. And I think not only will you lift up your business, but you will lift up theirs as well. And as you say, you're creating a destination, creating a reason for people to come in to the town. And that benefits everyone. So what have you done to push that forward in terms of have some cross collaboration between all of you?
Well, I mean, on my list, I've talked to several small business owners. One is almost next door, a Portuguese coffee shop. They're doing things in the evening. So we thought that if it's warmer, we have a sort of forecourt in front of the shop. Is it possible to have some local musicians or something that people might come in? The other thing I'm working on is talking to a couple of interior designers about using our products in their promotional settings.
Brilliant, yeah. That's great for them because they'll often be wanting to dress various houses that they're working on.
Working on that. We're also, as stamina allows, going to do a Friday evening learning to look. Come have a glass of wine and we'll talk through. People seem to be really interested in historic textiles. So there is somebody I met locally. She teaches textile design at De Montfort. So just walking around, looking at things. What does it mean? What does it look like? What are you looking at? And what makes it important or not? We're also I'm working on a newsletter that hopefully will come out in May, which will be focused on gardens and floral and come out around the time of the Chelsea Flower Show. We built a spreadsheet of about 150 interior designers and people that are interested in these kind of things. So targeted marketing as well.
Yeah, I think that's really important, actually, really focusing on your audience. I just want to pick up on something you said there about having maybe evening events, talking about textiles. I'm picturing some here on your website. I think that's great. And I think you would get a lot of interest, not just on textiles, but I think everything you do. And it brings me back to our initial conversation. Gosh, it was at the beginning of COVID, I think. And one of the things you said is that the products always have a story, and it's the story that sells, not the product, because a lot of the products can be very similar and they fulfill the same function. So with a rug on the floor, that fulfills the function that makes it more comfortable, maybe makes it look nice. But it's the story often that people will buy, and the story can increase the price as well, depending on what the story is. So you doing these sort of Friday evening things, I think is really good. I'm wondering how much, because these will be in person, right?
Mhm.
So I wonder how much, whether you can repurpose some of that, whether you could record the conversations you're having, and then share it online. Now, I understand that that may not be for your ideal audience. They may not be online, but for this emerging audience, so people who are coming into that, they might be online. Or for there, there are many older people who are online, very good at it. And that's where they do spend a lot of the time. This allows them, especially if they're further afield, to be able to appreciate what you're doing and maybe then spend the effort and time to come over. And it helps build that. So I wonder if that's something you could do to record it. Not for marketing. You're recording it for posterity and putting it out there, and eventually it will become something people find.
Exactly. And, I've something we've talked about is efficiencies and time, which is,
yeah, I'm all about that.
How can I do one thing and get the maximum out of it is my new motto. I don't want to repeat anything. So if I can use a Friday night event and get, 5 bangs out of it, that's good.
Yeah, and for me, it's future marketing. It's something you can put on social media. Little clips of it can go on Instagram. It can go on YouTube. The full video can go on YouTube. That becomes something that benefits you from a search point of view, because people looking for this content will be able to find that online and sort of slowly gravitate towards you. There's just going back to the idea of the partnership, there's a couple of, I sort of grew up in and around Herefordshire and Gloucestershire, but in Hereford, they have a couple of different events. But there's a key one in Ledbury, where they do a sort of big breakfast. So I think actually it might be throughout the whole of Herefordshire, but my dad helps organise it. And it's all about all the cafes, anywhere that's doing food, they all put on a special breakfast for this day, and they do it throughout the whole day. So it's not just the morning. And it's really a way of just getting people just to get out and try different places. So I love that idea. And the other one is actually, it's two, H Art and H Energy, H.art, H.energy, I think. And the H Art one is where a lot of artists will open up their houses or open up their studios for free. And you've got a huge map throughout the county of Herefordshire. I think it's open for a number of weeks. And then you can just go to these studios. Often they will be providing a few refreshments. They'll be chatting to people. It's really nice to get in and see these artists who you would never really see and meet. And like you said, it's a draw, and it becomes an annual event. It's something that people look forward to. It goes in their calendar, and it builds over time. And then they started doing something similar, H Energy, where people who had biomass boilers or air source heat pumps or solar, like my dad, actually, he got involved in this because he does have a few of those. They would come over to the house and they get to see them in action. You get to talk to the owners of these things, which it's one thing talking to an installer of a sustainable product, but it's another talking to the owner who knows how it works. I think both of those campaigns work really well. I mean, is it something like that you're trying to create, that you're almost having
the
events?
Art Week, I mean, Oxfordshire has its own Art Week as well. And there will be some studios open. I have talked to two organic, really good quality. There's the Banbury offer in terms of food is at the moment Greg's, but there's a huge, there's a whole road of professional architects and lawyers and things who are looking for a different alternative at lunchtime. And again, this is back to the challenge. I've invited a couple of people in to discuss how this might work on the property that we have, etc. And it hasn't it hasn't happened yet, and
you've got to create momentum here. You're starting from cold, and you have to start warming people up, moving them forward. So, and you've got to put that effort in. You're the leader in this case, showing them how it's done.
So, somebody said to me, I said, look, we have this forecourt, and we're not looking for a huge rent or anything. Just the other thing I approached is I went to a plant fair, Northampton Plant Fair, to bring people in to say, we've got this beautiful forecourt. You can put your shrubs, trees in our antique garden furniture. And I'm sad to say that there was absolutely no interest. They just said, we do what we do. So I'm still pursuing that one. But again, it's just, and somebody said to me, if you had 10,000 followers on Instagram, they would jump at the chance. But as it's early days, they don't want to come in at the embryonic stage and be part of laying the foundations.
It's about building up the people who have a few thousand, and you get enough of those, you can build up that following, and eventually, because you've got so and so, oh, now you can get this person. So, and unfortunately, it's you're the pioneer in this, and you've got to spend all your effort and time, and eventually it'll become something. Everyone will think it's their idea, but at least you'll get the benefit from it.
Yes. I mean, I think the two challenges heretofore have been the photography. And the second is in terms of the shop and getting people in, I thought it would be easier to garner support and interest from small businesses who are in the same situation that I'm in. So far, it's capacity issues with people, you know.
Right. You said about you were producing a newsletter. Talk to us. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I'm hoping that a quarterly newsletter focused on a specific topic. In this first one, it's around gardens and floral, featuring some things on the website, but adding those stories that you talked about. So it'll have an image of the thing, a bit of historic context, the backstory, like, you know, click, read more. Also featuring a botanic artist who lives, she lives near Shipton on Stour, and we're now starting to sell her cards and note cards in the shop. And so I'm going to feature her, pausing for a moment to see if we can also advertise an event. It's going to be a quarterly, I hope, reminder to people that we're out there, and a call to come in and visit us.
I like the idea of including other people as well. I think that's a good, that might be, well, it's a good conversation starter, isn't it, to bring people in like that. It also, because you're including other people, they might be able to share that with their audience as well. So if they get the newsletter, they might be able to then reshare that on their blog or social media. I was wondering, going back to the stories, I'm wondering if you could record those stories in video, just a very short video, just putting across the same thing. I don't know if Peter would want to be involved in that, but
yeah, he would.
Bringing both of you into it, I think they could be really short, because we found with, I assume this is going out by email, is that right? MailChimp, great. So I found that video can be really effective. Specifically, it's not the video itself necessarily, it's showing people in a little thumbnail, knowing that it's going to be video. So people really don't see video in an email, but if they saw you and Peter and you were talking about something or holding up an object that you were going to, that was as part of the thumbnail, I think that could draw people in once they're looking at the email to actually watch it, because if it's only a few minutes, I'm sure they'll do it. But also then to make a little animated GIF. So it just taking a few frames out of that video. I can show you that the Giphy is a good way of doing that, actually, but I can show you a few more later. Giphy is a good way of just bringing that video in, taking a few frames out and generating a little animated GIF that just rolls round. So when people open it, there's a bit like the slider that I've got up on our screen share, just some movement to draw people in.
A bit like what we've done in some cases on the Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. It draws people in to that email. But I think it'd be really nice. Again, I remember us talking about this right back at the beginning when we were getting briefed on the website, is looking at, can we bring video into this? Can we hear from you and Peter? Because I think that's what people would really like. That's what's missing from a lot of marketing. In fact, we're joking about this for possibly something we'll do in the future. About what's missing from marketing is connecting with people. We're sort of distancing ourselves with technology, but actually people want to talk to people. People like that. People want to buy from people. And I think if you're able to bring video in, if it's easy enough to do, and you can do it.
I need to learn how to do it. And that's the only thing that's stopping me, is the technical imperative that I need to learn.
Well, I would recommend Loom could be quite useful. Loom.com. I'll send you a video we did on it a couple of months back. But it's a very quick app, allows you to do a very simple screen capture like this. If not that, YouTube Shorts could work quite well as well.
Okay, once I know how to do it. I mean, I'm probably unlike some people. I know what the content needs to be. I know what the stories are. That's the easy part. It's the how-to.
It's almost the opposite to a lot of people. A lot of people, they're on social media all the time. They got the technology, but the content's a bit lacking. I think you're the other way around. It's like, just if you can just, and you're fine with technology. It's just a case of once you've tried it, you'll be away. No problem. Okay. So I'll send you, there's a video on YouTube Shorts. I'll send you that as well. I think that'd be interesting. And that might be a good way, this newsletter, this is a pulse, and it's a good way for you to get these people who you're talking to get featured in the newsletter, get them to share it and start building up this regular thing and sort of bring it all together. I think it could be really good. Is there, I mean, in terms of your website, and often during these open clubs, we have a look at the website. Is there anything on here? Because obviously we've, working with Claire, we sort of redeveloped this, but it's basically a whole new website, brought the content over and tweaked it. Is there anything that you feel this, that you'd want it to do that it isn't doing already in terms of either visits to the website or functionality?
I think that once you crack the imaging and get into a system of improving the arrivals, the new content, I will feel happier about it. Yeah, and then anything from you about, I talked to Claire about SEOs and it's just how to improve that, and it's just time, It's time.
For me, I think with getting the products found online from a search optimization point of view, it's that naming. So making sure the actual file names of your photos are named with details that people might be looking for, they might be searching for online. I think that's key, because a lot of people might be searching in Google Images for that. Yeah. And that's where they're going to come up. So that's important. And then along with that is alt text as well. So I think with our theme, you don't need to worry so much about alt text. If you've if you describe the image in its file name, that will automatically go into alt text as well. So you're okay on that.
Well, I've gotten a lot sharper. And I think that's one of the transitions from the old to the new. I think in our original discussions, we put more emphasis on more comprehensive descriptions of objects. Now we've kind of, we've slimmed that down quite a lot, which means that we can put descriptions in blogs or stories in blogs or whatever.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that's the second factor for search optimization, is to put more content out with stories. And I would really try and accompany that with video. Okay. I think that is going to help set you apart, and it's going to allow you to be found on YouTube. So you've got a second bite of that cherry, and something you can put onto Instagram as well. So it's we're talking about wasted time. You can really use that content.
I'll crack it. But I've also learned how to, just be smart. People will search for Victorian cast iron urns. So it goes in the first few words, I feel that the part I enjoy is writing for the web and getting the words kind of in the right order to facilitate better search. So yeah, it's iterative, as we both said.
Yeah, absolutely. A website is not for Christmas, it's for life. It's something that you've got to keep working on. Just to show people, is your simple website, albeit quite complex, and all of these products are own individual items. They all, if you inquire now, this goes to an inquiry form with some happy faces. They get to meet the owners. I really like that photo. But it then actually pre-populates the message with some information, so people aren't having to, I need to type that again. But really, it's just an introduction. You just want to get them to contact you. That's the key thing. Let's see what else have we got on here that could be useful. Yeah, we've got I think these are coming from your sort of news items, starting to build that up. So I'd really like to see that. You've got your Instagram feed on there. Yes, I remember we put that on. That's good. So it starts to allow people to see, you're on Instagram. Okay, I can follow you over there. Because I think with your customers, it's a longer funnel. They're not going to buy instantly online. And so really, they might come to your website, but we don't want to keep them here hostage. We want to say that they can follow you on Instagram and build up. You can build up those follows over time. I don't think, I mean, in terms of SEO, it's the only thing that's tricky really is you don't have individual product pages, but that's by design, because you can't really sell them like that. So there's no point. It's, you know, we could make all the product pages separate, but which might help from an SEO point of view, but it's going to then make it a more complicated website. Really, we want people just to see all these beautiful products and antiques and then get in touch with you. That's the key thing. So there's a balance we're striking there. But I think that's it really in terms of that. I think key things for me are what you're already doing in terms of the image titles and video. I think video is going to be where you stand out here.
Super.
As opposed to anyone else.
That's really helpful. Thank you.
Anything else we need to cover? Anything else you want to mention about your
site
or what
it's really
you're doing?
helpful, and you know, it's always good to touch base. It's invigorating and inspires me to press on.
Good. Well, that's all we can do, really, isn't it? We just got to have that energy and inspiration to move forward, and you do, Nancy. Both of you, you know, you've taken on incredible projects here.
Oh my gosh!
Doing very well.
Yeah. Certainly, I don't know what we were thinking so much at the same time, but you know, it all seemed doable.
Yeah, well, no entrepreneur does, I think, but I think that pain's behind you mostly. So it's onward and upward. Brilliant. It's good to talk to you again, Nancy. Really
lovely.
Nice to talk to you.
Thanks so much for your continued support, Ben. It's great.
No, my pleasure. So next week, just for everyone to let them know what's coming up next week, is going to be an interesting one. We're going to look at hacking your website with HTML and CSS. So we're going to have a look behind the scenes of WordPress and see how those pages are made up. With an eye to understanding when things go wrong, how you can fix them, and then how you can use CSS to just hack around the site to do things that you might not have thought possible. And that's really useful on Squarespace sites too. So join us for that. We're here every Friday from 10 a.m. If you want to ask a question or be a guest like Nancy, come on and share your company and maybe dive into some things that might help you. Email support@ratherinventive.com and we'll get you on. Remember, all episodes are available on our website, ratherinventive.com/club. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.